Hello and welcome to the 7th and final session in an introduction to HDR on-set production from Leader. My name is Kevin Salvage. I'm the European Regional Development Manager for Leader based in London in the UK. And if you have any questions about this or any of the other presentations in this series, please don't hesitate to contact me. So in this session we're going to talk about Leader, the 4K UHD wide color gamut and HDR test and measurement tools. So Leader have two products that are ideally suited for on-set production. The first being the LV5350 waveform monitor and then the LV7300 rasterizer version. And since these products have been used predominantly on set for feature film production, it's not surprising now with the advent of 4K and UHD productions for OTT service providers that we're seeing a lot of the techniques from cinema production being replicated for TV high-end production. So it's really good to see the Leader waveform monitors appearing in a number of on-set productions, as you can see here. As previously mentioned, UHD and 4K also come with a wider color gamut, a higher color space, and also bit depth, which means we get a much more realistic looking image than we did with 709 HD. So to start with, all of Leader's products, the HDR option is a software license. So if you're not working on any HDR productions yet, you don't need to buy the license, but you've got the peace of mind that your waveform monitor will, via a simple software license that doesn't require it to be returned to the manufacturer, can be upgraded on set. All Leader products support hybrid log gamma, SMPTE 2084 PQ, S-Log3, C-Log and Log-C transfer characteristics. And they also operate in HD HDR. So, previously we talked about wide color gamut and the 709 and 2020 triangles, and also color volume, where the CIE color chart has been laid flat and we have the luminance component added. So for 709 that was 100 nits, for 2020 we can go up to 10,000 nits. So the challenge is, how do we display this in real time so it can be used on set to make sure that the content is acquired correctly? And it's quite simple. With the customized display layout option, here we have the CIE color chart. Then we have the luminance component clearly visible on the right hand side of the waveform monitor. Then we have adjustable cursors so you can set the thresholds for your 18% grayscale and your SDR to HDR transition point. We also have the vector scope display, which colorists and vision engineers have used for many years to understand the hue and saturation of colors. And then finally we have Leader's false color HDR Cinezone display. And let's look at that in a bit more detail. So, on the image you're looking at, any part of the picture that is monochrome is standard dynamic range. Then, any part of the picture that is blue through green to red is high dynamic range. And then any areas that are purple mean either on set that the camera has overexposed the image and an HDR display will clip that image. So as you can see here, we've got some HDR component in this particular picture. And with the 5350, with its 3G display output, it means that you can view HDR images on an HD SDR display on set and highlight to the relevant members of staff when there's an error or whether some corrections need to be made, so that you don't have to waste time in post-production. Also, these are the same tools that are available in the high-end LV 56 and 7600 waveform monitor and rasterizer that will be used in post-production in grading. So what you're seeing on set is what the colorist is going to see in the grading suite. Once again, ensuring you get it right first time. Also displayed is the maximum content light level, max CLL, and maximum frame average light level, max 4. And for those of you familiar with commissioning and delivery standards for the OTT service providers, you'll be familiar with these. Simplest way to describe them is like video loudness monitoring, where maximum content light level will detail the brightest pixel that has occurred, and maximum frame average light level will give you the average luminance level of all the frames in the clip. And there we have a brief summary of those two for you. So here we have on the right an image with the max fall and max CLL activated, and on the right I have my waveform monitor, and you can adjust the cursor so that you can set your max CLL level, and then you can see which pixel happens to go over that limit. And because we're monitoring RGB here, we're looking at 3840 3 times over. So we're sampling every pixel in the image. Also, the CINELITE Advanced tool can be extremely useful when it comes to working in HDR. And here we can highlight the picture, a particular pixel within that picture with its line and sample number and its high dynamic range value. And then we can see that on the waveform, on the CIE color chart and the vector display, allowing you to make really fine precision adjustments prior to recording. Also, the leader waveform monitors feature the ability to adjust the waveform display. So if you're working in PQ, it's not uncommon, although it goes to 10,000 nits, that you're actually working to maybe 1,000 or even 2,000 nits, which means on a waveform display, 2/3 at the top are wasted. They're not used, and the signal is compressed into the lower 2/3. On the leader waveform monitors, you have a variable adjustment, so we can adjust the waveform scale to 1,000 nits, and now we can see in detail the signal. And for those of you used to working in standard dynamic range and a full screen display, this is much more comfortable and easy to operate with. We also have the ability with the HDR tool to display simultaneously 2 transfer characteristics on the 5350 and LV7300. And here we can see the HDR off, or standard dynamic range, and here we have the HDR on with the PQ characteristic applied. Once again, making it very easy to monitor both signals simultaneously. So, hopefully this series has been of interest to you, and as I said, if you require a demonstration of either the LV5350 or the 7300, please don't hesitate to contact me. And thank you once again for watching this series of presentations.